some full energy. Run red right there cause they're my enemies. Subscribe and like, rate and review. Your whole Conte and Levy, couple guests too. We got them with a trophy, we're overdue. Can we do the double, make it deja vu? It's a North London thing, Bird Brothers only on the wing. Harry's one of our own island. He's only got one knee, but Leslie's still the king. And we got Delhi Ali, that's top in. Where the shell side, where the shell side, where the shell side's what we sing. Where the shell side, where the shell side. No, it's a North London thing.
Yo. It's the Shelf Side Podcast, episode 86. Big Bad Lero in the building. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, I'm here, bro. All good, you?
Yeah, not bad at all. Getting there. Kwabna's gone missing again.
This guy, man, we need to call the military police out for him, mate. He is always AWOL.
MIA, and he's gonna have some excuse, and he's gonna tell you that he's gone somewhere. And let's see. I'm not gonna spoil his news, so when he comes back, he can fill us in. But it doesn't matter. We've got Lero in the building. You are furniture. You are regular. You are the guy. So as I said, your name gets mentioned more than anybody else's name anyway. So you know how it goes.
Yeah, I don't even know how that come about, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And we went on YouTube because of you. So, guys, we're on YouTube. Check us out. I have to promote the YouTube. We are there, the Shelfside Podcast. You can find us. Just, we're there. Just find us.
Wait. We're on YouTube, and you didn't even tell me. It's only now I'm finding out. That is crazy.
Well, you threw down the gauntlet, and I'm one to take up the gauntlet. Cool. So... It's there. Cool. There. I tweeted about it, but you're not on Twitter either, so you got to get on Twitter.
I am on Twitter. I just never log in. I can't stand Twitter. I'll end up hurting people. So the best thing is I stay off of Twitter and leave the keyboard warriors to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Twitter is a wild one.
Yeah.
It is a very wild space. So, yeah, I don't blame you. Speaking of wild... we had a game last week, Wednesday, and that was kind of wild. Went to Stamford Bridge in the Carling Cup semi-final. It was a semi-final. Conte returning to the club where he won a Premier League title and an FA Cup. And we were thoroughly embarrassed, needless to say, in the first half especially.
Yeah. Did
you catch any of that game?
Yeah, I did. I've kind of tried to pull it out of my mind, so
this way, really.
Yeah, it was painful, man. It was really painful.
It was typical Spurs going to Stamford Bridge and being scared. There was a period, and I hate every conversation with Spurs fans. We always say, in the Poch years, or the Poch side, and they were good times, and I don't like harping on about them, but making reference to this point, we've grown up with Spurs sides. Well, it's a fact. We've grown up with Spurs sides not being able to win at Stamford Bridge until a Poch side did it.
Yeah.
Right? We've come close with the Lampard over-the-line goal, which wasn't a goal. We needed VAR, needed goal line tech then, but we didn't have it.
It would have worked anyway.
Say again?
It would have worked anyway.
No, it wouldn't have. But we've actually, I think before we won there, we actually drew there, I believe, and probably should have won that game, and then ended up winning. Delhi came to the fore. So you got a couple of things there. You got good old Poch days and when Delhi was good type of vibe going on with the last time we won at Stamford Bridge. Yeah. And obviously had the Battle of the Bridge, which we were well into that game and kind of threw that game away, lost our heads a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, quite a bit in that game. But this side, when we rocked up, we were nervous. You could see we were nervous. Nobody was more nervous than Tanganga.
Yeah.
And I think Davison was a bit nervous trying to replace Dyer and then having to face Lukaku. So Chelsea were on it. The press was always going to struggle with the press, and they caught us out. And literally, we gave them the game by making two big mistakes. Yeah. Yes, they had more chances after that, but when you concede so early and then you concede again in the manner that we did, there was absolutely no threat whatsoever. And Tanganga heads into Ben Davies. Again, that's going to be a meme. That's going to be trending for a long time. But the second half was better. We changed the shape, which I was calling for. You can't always play 3-4-3 if you don't have the personnel.
Yeah.
And we looked a bit better.
Yeah, we did. I think we became a bit more comfortable. I think the fear factor went for a little while because I think obviously you made some subs, and I think they just thought, do you know what, we're 2-0 down now, we might as well just go for it. Do you know what I mean? Regardless, we just might as well go for it. I got nothing left to kind of be scared about. So that's what I think I saw from them. A little bit more structure, and plus, you know what, Chelsea did take their foot off the pedal as well. So
yeah, there is always a combination
Yeah.
of the two.
Yeah, so that's what I think kind of happened in the second half, to be fair. But we still weren't at the races. We still didn't offer enough. And if I'm honest, it kind of really highlighted that we're lightweight at the moment, and we're missing quality and quality players and a bit. I know we said on another pod, we're talking about his system's versatile, but I feel that he's happy with that system. He's trusting that system, and he believes that, he doesn't have the personnel to play any other system, to be fair, confidently. So that's why I feel that he doesn't change the formation, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was Cup week, so we went into the next game, which was obviously the Morecambe FA Cup game. And it was looking like an awful week's worth of cup football for Spurs up until I think it was 78 minutes in that game. And an awful week for Tanganga as well. We rescued it. Big Guns had to come off the bench. And before that, we fluked a goal with Harry Winks. He said he meant it.
He is killing me, bruv.
He said, well, this is what he said. He said, I meant it in the sense where if you underhit it, it falls on someone's head. And if you hit it right, it goes in the top bin. And he's referenced Sonny doing it a couple of times. And yeah, he said, unlike the other one where he mishit a pass by about 10, 20 yards that ended up top bin in the Europa League. So, I mean, he's got a history of overhitting things, but fair play to him. He's claiming this one. It got us back in the game, and then Lucas and Kane scored. But I think more worryingly for me is the fact that we had, I think it was 26 chances. A lot of them came centrally, and I think Ryan Sessegnon played more forward than I thought he would. But I think that's because we dominated possession, as we should do against a relegation-threatened League One side.
Yeah.
But the goals we scored was the fluky free kick, Lucas Moura counter-attacking after a high press and defensive error, running through on goal, and then Kane getting a quick turn and shot. But we should have really dominated this side with the players that we had on the pitch. And to your point earlier about the quality and the depth and in the squad, it is becoming very worrying. Kwabna asked a question to me earlier about what was his question now? Yeah, do you believe in cup teams or not? Now, Nuno did this famously when he left the entire first team bar, I think it was Lloris, at home, and played a completely different outfield team for the Europa Conference League game that we ended up losing. And Conte made a load of changes for this game. But it's Morecambe. No disrespect to Morecambe, but you are fighting for relegation in League One. Not having a great season. We're at home, and we've got seasoned internationals playing, and players that cost a lot of money. That was fair, right? He should have been able to do that and should have been able to expect to get a result.
100%. 100%. I mean, obviously, all the Spurs groups and Spurs chats are rife right now. So we've had these conversations for the last couple of days quite a few times. And I think, many people have kind of alluded to this, that, oh, yeah, well, it's not the first team, or, You know, they don't play together. They train together every day. Every day. They go through the same, meetings where they talk about the style of play, what's required of you. And it's not that you're not in the starting 11, so you don't get spoken to about what we're trying to achieve, the way we want to play. You know, you train with these guys. You guys play training matches. You know how Dyer runs. You know how Ali runs. You know what suits him and you know what doesn't suit him. The only thing I will give them is, okay, you and I both know when you're playing regular, there's things that you just do naturally and the ball ends up in the top corner. You're not even thinking about it because you're now in motion. And I get that. Like, that's the only side of it I get. The other side, I don't get anything else. Okay, all right, that may not go in motion. You may actually have to think about it, position yourself, put that ball in the top corner, but it still goes top corner. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I don't agree with this cup side or non-cup side. You should be able to bring in, mate, if we was flying to Munich and you know what? That's not a good one to use. If we was flying to Mallorca and the first team crashed on a plane and there was no survivors, that reserve team is meant to be able to step into the line and be the first team.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
we should be able to compete in that league with that team.
Well, exactly. And the likes of Delhi, Tongi, Winks came into the side against Liverpool. And they didn't play like reserve players then, did they? They played like first team players. Yeah. Yes, they had Kane and Son up top, fine, but they weren't playing. We did some interactive football there, but most of it was counter-attacking football. So my point there is, if you play in one game, yes, you don't play with, the shape may not be exactly the same, even though they would have worked on the shape. But maybe the shape was slightly different with so many changes. However, your point is valid, Lero. You work with these players every single day. You would play 11 against 11. So if you are the reserve team, you are working with these players against the so-called first team, and then they will change it around. But I know for a fact they worked on shape with those 11 players for 2 or 3 days.
The system doesn't change. Regardless if you're in the first 11 or not, the system is what's taught at the training ground. It's the same system that we're learning.
Yeah, so it's, for me, then it comes down to a bit of desire, a bit of people feeling sorry for themselves, and people probably trying to hold back. Maybe we're in January now, people got one eye or two eyes on moves. There's a lot of talk around a lot of Spurs players on the way out, not so much on the way in. Two players really highlighted different things on Sunday. Two of the players who we have had high hopes for, and two players that are very quick to get ridiculed because of the lofty price tags that they came in for. One is Lo Celso, I think it's a total of 53 million, and the Eriksen replacement. And the other is Ndombele, who is a record signing, and the Dembele replacement of sorts. There's infamous clips of Lo Celso not being able to take a corner this game, and I think it was the previous game he played. I think it was Everton in Conte's first game, away at Goodison. I've often said his strike on the ball is very weak, doesn't get very far, and if he does, it's not with much power, and he was looking like that on Sunday. And he actually slipped over when the ball was past him, and I think that's going to be a meme. But this is a guy who has qualified to the World Cup final recently. He's also won the Copa America and rubs shoulders and looks great alongside Lionel Messi. And the other is our record signing, who I have been a massive fan of. Massive fan. If you listen to this pod, you know myself and Kwabna rate this guy highly and want to see more of him. Lero's a bit more reserved, understands his talent, but doesn't like the fact that he's having so many difficulties and he's been there 3 years now and you haven't got much time for the kind of excuses around Dombele. I appreciate that. But the fans finally had enough on Sunday and they booed him off the field. I'm not so sure he should have ran off the field, but I think the not running off the field is indicative of the way he presses. When he plays, he actually didn't sprint against Chelsea, and I don't believe he sprinted against Morecambe. There was a lot of old man jogging, as it was referred to on Twitter.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on the fans booing Dombele, and should they have booed Lo Celso as well, and what do you think their futures are?
Do you know, okay, so the whole booing thing for me, I don't know. You know, like people say, oh, I wouldn't have booed a player. You see me, if I was at the match and I felt some type of way, I would boo you. Like, the sheer fact that this is your job and you get paid to do this, I can boo you. Booing's not abusing. I'm not racially abusing you. I'm not abusing your wife. I'm saying that I'm displeased with the job that you're doing, you know? And I'm letting you know that, and I'm letting the club know that, and the rest of the world. So I'm not saying that they should have booed or they shouldn't have booed, but if you felt to boo, then boo. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially if you're not a negative person and you're one of those people that truly support the club and just had enough. Just like players get frustrated and people say they're human beings, we're supporters. Many of us would love to be on that football pitch, and you wouldn't have to pay us half as much. And I'm sure we'd put in a great shift if we were as fit as them. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean, you said that you didn't necessarily think he should have run off the pitch. Why not?
No, when I say I don't think he necessarily should have run off the pitch, what I mean was I don't think it should have been such an issue because there was a double substitution. So the other person there was somebody else coming off. So the fact that he didn't get off the pitch very quickly, almost in technical terms, is irrelevant because the game couldn't restart any sooner. That was my point, as opposed to, I get the body language, I get the fact that he should have got off as quickly as possible, and it just enabled the fans to get on his back even more so. I know all of that. I was just saying technically it didn't mean the game was going to restart any quicker because it was still a
100%. No, you're 100% right there. I just think, as you said, the body language, you know, you're losing the game. You ain't had such a great game, but you want your club and your teammates to win this game. And it's psychological, isn't it? You know, you sprinting off of them sprinting on. It's like there's an energy, an urgency. The fans can see it. We can feel it. Let's get on it. Let's support our team. And he kind of just sombered the mood by just like, yeah, all right, cool. And the worst thing is, if he sprinted off the pitch and sprinted straight down the tunnel, or, you know, it might have looked laboured, but run down the tunnel, I don't think many people would have had anything to say. They would have been like, oh, maybe he's injured, he's going down the tunnel. Do you know what I mean? But you got off the pitch with an energy, with a body language that said, come on, Spurs, like, I want you to win. And he didn't do that.
Yeah, and if you capture some stills of the teammates, they don't look impressed about him going down the tunnel. So I'm not sure what the future lies for Dombele, but I think I am at my end with Dombele myself, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I know the talent that's there, but the talent is not coming out. The talent's not going to come out. This is 4 managers now. He's had so many arms around his shoulder. If you're not interested in performing at home in the FA Cup against Wickham in the 3rd round, and you can't turn it on, and you're not injured, then I'm sorry, but when are you going to do it? Like, at this point.
No, that's very true. So here's the kind of counteraction, the argument, the devil's advocate for that. Many people are saying the 4 managers that you've had is the problem. You know, we've had no consistencies. The signings after him haven't shown him that the club are ambitious and going in the right direction. What else has been thrown out there? Style of play, you know, that they've, you know, instead of building a team around him and his style of play, and also, like, almost having him as a, you know, a spare man. You know, like the team around him works so well that he doesn't have to put in the work, you know, is the main arguments I'm hearing at the moment. What do you think about any of them?
So he's sulking. It sounds like he's sulking, but if we address those arguments, it's fine. This is the Premier League. It's very difficult to have one player that doesn't have to work, right? Most of the top Premier League sides and top sides in Europe, in fact, press first, play afterwards. So I don't see where he goes where he doesn't have to put in an effort. Now, he has put in efforts before, but he doesn't get up to sprinting pace. But he has put in effort before. With regards to the signings, yeah, I mean, we haven't made a statement signing after him. We brought Bale back, which was supposed to be the statement and could have been more of a statement, but obviously wasn't fancied, wasn't trusted by Jose at the time. But yeah, fair enough. Build a team around you. Well, unfortunately for Dombele, I don't think that's ever going to be the case. He didn't build. If you look at our best side in recent years, who is the team built around? It wasn't built around one player. It was a system that worked. If anybody in the early days, it was built around Delhi. Delhi had that freedom, but Delhi still had to work.
Yeah. And I don't even think it was built around him. I think it was a system that accommodated Delhi. It wasn't.
Accommodate.
Yeah, it wasn't
evolved.
built. Yeah, it wasn't built for him.
No, and then when you've got Kane and Son in your side, I don't think you're going to turn around and build it around Dombele. The most Dombele can hope for is 2 holding potentially, or even 1 holding and him having to do work. Let's be honest. Let's have it right. When he played at Lyon, he played in a 2.
Yeah.
Right. He played as a deep lying playmaker, similar to what Moutinho does for Wolves for Premier League fans, and what Aurier does now. Him and Aurier dovetailed, and it was him and Tolisso, I do believe, that dovetailed. So he never really played 10, and he always had to do some share of the work. But yes, it's not Liga. Liga is not as strong as the Premier League, as in all the teams, and it's not as physical and not as quick as the Premier League. Yes, it is more technical, and we know that. But technical players have had to come to the Premier League and adapt to physicality, adapt to the pace, adapt to the up and down nature, the less tactical nature. And guess what? They've gone away and they've become Ballon d'Or winners.
Yeah.
Luka Modric.
Yeah.
They've also been played out of position.
Yeah.
And they've gone away, got stronger, got tougher, got more tactical wear, and become 5 times Ballon d'Or winner Cristiano Ronaldo. So the Premier League is different, but the Premier League has a way of strengthening you up and allowing you to be able to go and play in any league in the world if you want to. If you want to go and play in Italy, if you want to go then play in Spain. If you're a technical player, I'm talking about, you have to be technical to then go and play in these leagues, but you also develop the power, the pace and understanding of how to play at a high intensity. Then you can go to Germany and you can go and dominate. And those two are really good examples of that.
Yeah.
Lightweight players that came to the Premier League and adapted and then became Ballon d'Or winners.
Yeah, no, I agree. So then, do we think that if we sold him to Watford, he would now be a good player, a well-beaten player, a Ballon d'Or winning player?
I think that Watford would accommodate him more, and they may play a 4-4-1-1.
Yeah.
And because they know he's their best player technically, and they will try and bring the best out of him, so they may give him no work to do.
Yeah.
But Watford won't then be competing for the Premier League title.
No.
Watford will have great moments. Watford will be like JJ Okocha for Bolton.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I ask,
you might see great highlights.
Yeah. No. The reason why I ask is because I feel that a lot of people are also saying that, you know, it's down to them selling Aurier Sissoko when he's not happy. And you know my stance on this. Like, all these things, all the reasons and all the excuses. Don't get me wrong. I do believe there's, you know, you can have an amalgamation of things that happen that could cause you, you know, misfortune and things not go your way. Cool. I don't think for the length of time that he's been at the club, we could keep making excuses for him. I'm like, you're a footballer, you get fit, you understand what's required of you, and you go out there and own the pitch. Do you know what I mean? With his talent, you go out there and own the pitch. Okay, you never used to do a lot of running or as much running as you do at Spurs. You adapt. You're not come into a club and you'll say, well, my style of football is the best style of football in the world, so the club should adapt to me and the way that I play ball. Yes, we want your attributes, but what you're saying is what we can't make you a better player by working a little bit harder, running a little, actually getting to a top speed sprint. Nah, mate, like the attitude is completely wrong. It's just wrong. It's wrong.
It's wrong, and you touched on a good point. And we did state this when Aurier left, and then when Sissoko left, that Dombele would be the one that were losing his big brothers. But you would thought if you really want it to work, as you touched on, you've been at the club 3 years, you've made other friends, you know who you can lean on. And if you want to move, the best way to get a move is to perform like the dog's bollocks.
Yeah, be a hot boy.
You've got to remember, you signed a 6-year contract. Spurs have the option of the 6th year. You're on 200 bags a week. You can't just move like that. It's not that straightforward.
No.
You can move if you fulfill your potential and better your potential, then someone will give you that 200 grand a week plus and pay the asking price that Levy's going to want. So, badly advised, badly off the pace, and I'll be sad if he goes. But I do think his race has been run at Spurs.
Well, you know what? I believe his race is run, but I think he's going to get a reprieve because we're not going to get rid of him in January. Well, do you know what? No, I'm not going to retract that. Let me see how good Paratici is. You know, let's see how good he is. Because for me, there's nowhere for him to go. The clubs where he could go, they don't need him and they don't want him. They're not going to want someone like that. You know, you want a world beater that's doing it week in, week out. So his wages are obviously a problem. So for me, I think he's not going to go in January. He'll sulk probably till just before the summer. I think he'll understand and realise that, you know what, I want to play football. I want to get out of this club. And then he will start playing. And, opportunities will come. We'll bring in other players. Opportunities will come. And he will see when the team's bouncing and playing ball, you want to be a part of that. And I think he'll force his way back in. And I think we'll have him till next year summer.
Next year summer, this summer?
No, I think we'll have him till next year summer. I don't even think they'll be able to get rid of him. If he doesn't start performing this year, I don't think we'll get rid of him in the summer either. I think he will be one of those players where, it's a bit of a rotten apple and then you just see the re-emergence of him. I believe that the difference between him and Dele, I believe that he could actually do that at will. When he decides that he wants to start playing, he's going to start playing. Yeah. As long as he gets the opportunity. At the moment, he don't want to play. You don't score the type of goals that you scored, play the type of football that you've played, play the through balls that you've played, tricks and skills and dominate a midfield. Because we know he's been in there and he's had a good season in there when he was playing under Mourinho. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying he was the best player in the world, but he's had some games where this guy's run the show. And we've seen him at, Lyon, that he was running the show. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, Barca, Man City.
Yeah, exactly.
Test of that, yeah.
So you don't just go from that to not being able to play ball. This guy can play ball. He's just a big baby. Honestly, he's just a big baby. She's called him Big Baby Miller.
So, if you believe we'll keep Dombele, I was going to throw a curveball question in.
Not by choice, though.
I may save it.
Remember, I said it's not by choice.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I'm just going to ask though, do you think, because there's likes of Bergwijn could be off.
Yeah.
I'm going to come on to him in a second. Apparently we're taking offers for Dele, Doherty, maybe Lo Celso, and one other. It escapes me. But the question is, we're fighting for Champions League, we're fighting for top 4, because we're still unbeaten in the league.
Yeah.
Quabner's favourite saying, we're still unbeaten under Conte, but I always have to add in brackets in the league.
Yeah.
And that means we're still in a position and technically 4th if we won our games in hand, as I said the other day.
Yeah.
But if we have an overhaul in January, would that impact the top 4 chase?
If we buy smart, and I think, we'll need a solid 3 players. Like, I say, let's not worry about the goalkeeper for now. Yeah, we do need a goalkeeper, but I'm not worried about the goalkeeper for now. If we get a solid three players, we get another solid midfielder, we get a striker, and it's either or. For me, I feel like if I was gonna pick one out of the two, we definitely need a left back. Like, yes, I know
So you're not
Emerson.
happy with Sessegnon, you're not happy with Reguilon?
I'm not happy with Cess. Like, I don't trust him. I'm not saying that he's not good and he's not, I'm not seeing some things. I don't trust his body. And I don't trust Reguilon's body. And do you know what? To me, they seem similar players. They'll have an amazing game, a little bit of overexertion, and one of their muscles like, for me, you're not going to get week in, week out, or even tandem week in, week, every other week with them two. Like, one of them is going to come out of, the run-ins or with an injury for at least a month, 2 months, and that will be like twice or 3 times in the season. I'm not saying that you can't change that around, but I don't trust, like we had other players like that, and then they hit a point and then they stop being injured. Do you get what I'm saying? They learn to not be injured anymore. They learn to kind of play through certain things, and their mental kind of attitude towards injuries and how they feel changes. So that makes a massive impact on how often they get injured. I don't think Sessegnon's mentality is there. He would have to have like 3 massive games on the bounce right now. Put Reguilon out of the squad, and then go on a nice run for him to actually, I think, even begin that process. And I don't see that happening. So I don't trust him. I think we can cover the right-hand side, but the left-hand side I don't think we can cover, because I think one of them will be injured for a long period of time, and then we're stuck with just the other one, and we know he's not going to last.
I hear you. So you're saying you want to target the brittle side as opposed to the weaker side?
Yes. You'll get games out of Emerson, and you get loads of games. And when we need to rest him, depending on, you can listen. I'll even play Sanchez there when Romero's back. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm happy with that. We brought him on against, who was it? Norwich. It was
Sanchez.
Yeah, I think we took off Tanganga and brought on Sanchez
As a right-sided centre half.
Was
not
it right?
necessarily a right back, but he has played right back for Spurs before.
Listen, I play him right back, straight playing right back. I think
over Doherty.
Yeah, my man's got to go, bro. He's not a footballer for Spurs. No way. He's got to go.
Okay. No, I hear you. So, I mean, look. No overhaul, but it looks like we need to raise cash, and there's a strong rumour that Bergwijn has not completed his deal, but has agreed personal terms with Ajax, and the fee needs to be agreed. He's an asset that is a saleable asset. I get it, he's young. They haven't forgotten what he can do in Holland. He actually performed very well in his last game for Holland that got them to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So his name is still ringing bells in his homeland right now. So is it the right strategy to sell Bergwijn because of his value only? Because I think he's got something to offer and has had moments, even this season, even in the last couple of weeks. But if we need to sell, he's one we can sell. So we sell him. Is that right?
Nah, definitely not. Definitely not. We need options. And if we don't have attacking options, I feel that what are we going to do? Him out and someone in to replace him. Do you know what I mean? I feel that we need the options. Look, I don't even want to go into another part of this pod because I know we're going to speak about him in a bit. But this Traore, I'm not a big fan. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a big fan. I love the pace. I love the strength, but I'm not a big fan. But if we got him in and we still had Bergwijn, I'd be a lot happier.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be one or the other. Sounds like Bergwijn's going to pay for Traore.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me. I think that's the wrong move. Yes, we're struggling to get Dele out. No one wants these players. Why would you? I wouldn't want him. Do you know what I mean? So Yeah, I understand what they're trying to do, but Man United wouldn't ramp to keep their man there and bring in the men that they need, and then work it out after then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I make you right. United operate in debt. We try not to operate in debt. We don't have their revenue. But you're right, it's the winning mentality. And this is something that we need to start adopting. And the option is a very good point, because you spoke on Reguilon's inability to remain fit. And a lot of that, I think, is to do with his explosive nature. And he is a bit brittle and slight in size. But Son is another one who gets muscular injuries because he's often burnt out.
Yep.
His direct replacement should be Bergwijn.
Yep.
Right? I know Brian plays on the left as well, but his direct replacement, somebody who has performed in the Premier League, who's been in the Premier League for a couple of seasons now, can be explosive, scored the other day, should be Bergwijn.
Yep.
Why the hell are we considering selling him?
Mate, this is where you sit back and you think to yourself, and I think I've had to do this quite a bit this week. You say to yourself, right, am I going to stop and actually allow this process to be this new process and hope that Paratici and Conte can make something happen and actually build something, and they're going to be trusted by the directors and given the backing? Or are we going to do what Spurs does and have done for years and neglect the football pitch? And I battled with myself and I thought, you know what? If there's ever a time for that to happen, it's now. You're not going to get a better manager than the manager we've got. I don't even want to hear people blame him. Yes, me and you both have said he should have changed the formation a few times, but that's trust. Do you know what I mean? I think that's trust. He knows that this system will stop them from losing the game. If he changes it, will it? Do you know what I mean? So, and will it help them win the game? So for me, I just think to myself, you know what? If there's a time for them to back them, it's now. And I'm not saying January's the be-all and end-all of it, but you could clearly see and I could clearly see, yeah, we'll get, you know what? We will get into our stride, because I think we've won games and we've not been in our stride. We've just worked really hard and got what we needed to get out of it with a bit of luck. But I feel that, we will get into our stride. But will our stride be enough to take us to top four? Not with the squad that we've got. Right, or keep us in the top four when we get there. Not with the squad that we've got. We're going to need other players. And I think, it will show real intent if he brings in 3 players now and starts back in that Conte era. Okay, we might be in a bit of debt, or it might have been a bit more than he wanted to spend because it kind of impacts the summer budget. But you know what? Juggle the figures, man. Like, if you know this guy's going to be here for the long term, give him what he needs in January. Within 3 players, you can't argue with that. Then back him again in summer with how many players he needs, pay the money, and carry that debt over to next year. Do you know what I mean? Because if he performs on the pitch, we'll be in Champions League. That will ease some of the debt. We might win a cup or two. Like, that will bring in a bit more revenue. Then bank on your boxing and your American football and all that. Carry that debt over. If you know that this is the man for you and you're gonna, he's the man to get us to where we need to be, mate, we need to carry debt over.
So you make very good points, and you're speaking about what Levy should do. How optimistic are you about Levy actually doing any of this and backing the man and carpe diem, seizing a day with the best manager he potentially could get his hands on?
Listen, he has to. Like, he's got out of so many callers. I don't even know how he's done it. He is like a cat with so many lives. Do you know what I mean? But I don't feel that he can get out of this corner. Because if he doesn't back Conte, who are we going to bring in? He's trying to do this whole bring in a man to work with the squad that we've got to get us to the heights that, Champions League. Mate, that was a one-off. And we had a good squad then. We actually did have a good squad. You've tried to scrimp and scrape, bring in man, do these edit deals with Well, do you know what? The Vinicius deal wasn't an idiot deal. It was actually a good deal because he got someone in. It was a body there, and I weren't against him. But you're bringing in the Jensens, like, mate, you've done some dodgy stuff, bruv. Like, just to try and fill the gap. Now you've got
Nkoku's.
don't, because listen, I'll get my
Jetsons.
list out. There's been some shocking players, like, and then now you've got Conte, like a manager that knows how to win things. He's got a model. We could clearly see. You could clearly see that he's a winning manager, regardless of, our results. You've been to the ground. Your season ticket holder. You go to the ground, so you can see what he brings to the game. Do you know what I mean? Others that watch it on TV, you could clearly see what this guy brings to the footballing world. You're not going to get a replacement for him that's on his level, so you have to back him. What do you do now if you don't back him and he leaves? What's going to be the backlash from the Spurs supporters? Because there's nothing more. You can't get yourself out of jail no more. So what's going to happen? He has to back him.
Yeah, I think it's Graham Potter's after Conte. I honestly do. And Kane and Son will be the wrong side of the wrong side that they're already on anyway.
Yeah.
And that's if they remain. So your two prize assets over the last, two of your probably 5-6 prize assets over the last 6-7 years will be gone. And you haven't replaced them, you haven't won anything. Which manager's going to come in now? They're going to come in and say you've got Dane Scarlett, bless him, and Bergwijn, if he's even there. So it's not the same thing. Now's the time.
Yeah.
But Conte is volatile. That has been part of his downfall. I think he demands backing. He demands it, wants to win now. Do you see this relationship go in the distance? I know it's an 18-month contract.
Hell no. Hell to the nizzo. Like, the reason why, come on, man. There's no way, and I don't care what anyone says, I'll dare you to prove me wrong. I've said it before, there's no way that Conte came to this club without assurances. Impossible. Right?
Agreed.
I understand that don't get me wrong, because I could see it in him, and I understand that he could see there's a process. Like, and he's like, okay, maybe, remember he's a growing man as well. He's made mistakes in the past. He's had loads of different options, and, he's done the massive clubs with the money to throw at the team. He's done that. This is a different challenge for him. And I don't think, unlike any of the other challenges, he doesn't want to succeed here. He wants to succeed. So I think he's going to give us that year, see what we do in January, see what we do in the summer, yeah? If summer ain't working out, I think he may bounce. Do you know what I mean? But I think, I'm not worried about him leaving if they back him. So, I was going to ask you, when do you see Graham Potter coming in? Because if they back him in January and back him in the summer, there's no reason for him to go anywhere. And that would be them sticking to their word, and I think he will give us everything that he's got. But if they don't back the man, boy, I feel summer is gone. Like, and it will be middle of the transfer window, you're just seeing my man's out. Do you know what I mean?
Well, he's identified players that he wants out. He's definitely identified players that he wants in. I guess what you're saying is Conte can't win anything without backing. I don't mean that in a negative way. At the current club he's at in Tottenham, we don't have a winning mentality, which he's already highlighted. He and Jose both highlighted the fact that there's a lot wrong here. So I think we need changes in order to certainly maintain a proper challenge of sorts in something. I don't mean winning the Carabao Cup and not having to face one of the top guns. We're facing one of the top guns now. We're going to have to face one of the top guns in the final if we get there. So can we do that without the backing?
No. We don't have the squad. And I know what you're saying. I know a lot of people be like, well, he's brought so many players on and galvanising. You kind of work on their actual skill set and you progress them. How much progression? This guy's not a magician. How much progression do you think he's going to get? How many other managers have had to send players out on loan for them to start learning and understanding their craft, missing home, but having to work hard and then getting the rewards or not getting the rewards where they're going? But it's growth. Do you know what I mean? You need that time. You need to be able to play sometimes without fear, do you know, of like Tanganga, for instance. He's a prime one. He needs to be able to play without fear because the guy that's playing now is not the guy that started against Man City.
Or the guy that started against Liverpool.
Or Crystal Palace. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though I feel that he was a bit erratic in that game, he wasn't shaky and scared. My man's scared at the moment. Like,
yeah, sure.
If you watch football, you understand football. There's a clear gaping hole in the middle of that Spurs side. We've got players that are the culture's all wrong. We've got players that, as I said, you're not going. Okay, some because of their physical makeup, you're not going to get many games out of them in a row. Some of them because they physically don't want it. I believe if Lo Celso was somewhere else, you'll get a hell of more games out of him. Do you know what I mean?
He doesn't want it. He doesn't want to play. I've heard it firsthand. He does not want to. He's never said that he doesn't want to play, but you can see he cries off with injuries and these issues and would rather play for Argentina than play for Tottenham at the moment. And that's a massive problem. And he's supposed to be our creative midfielder. Dombele is supposed to be a creative midfielder. Dele is put in that bracket as a creative midfielder, although it's very different, as we've touched on. He provides goals more than assists and gets on the end of things. So slightly different, but... Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I was going to jump in there because you said Dele, and because Carl's not here to speak for himself and refuses to get in
he said next week.
Yeah, refuses to get back into this argument. What position does Dele play? You said he's meant to be in that creative... Where is Dele's position?
Well, he plays centre forward on Sunday.
You could have put him in goal. You could have put him in goal. What does that mean?
No, I don't know where Dele's best position is. Not in a modern game. Not in a Conte system. I don't know what Dele's position is. Not many of those creative players have a position in Conte's side at the moment. But, as Kwabna will say, and he said on a pod for a couple of weeks, Fabregas and Eriksen as examples build a steady ship, and I think then he brings in the creative players to play in the established side. And I don't necessarily see Dele in that role, but potentially Lo Celso and Dombele. So yeah, I don't know is the answer to your question, but I'm going to give you a question. As you've thrown a curveball on me, I'm going to throw a curveball on you.
All right, cool.
Dele, Dombele, Lo Celso. I'm not even going to say start one. Make one sub, put one out on loan, sell one. Hit me.
Ooh. All right.
It was going to be Winks until Winks scored that worldie.
Listen, I'm not even sold by that resurgence. We just know that my man, he does love the club and he gives his all, but I still don't reckon he's the answer. Do you know what I mean? And yes, a good squad player, but anyway, I digress. Sell Dele, it was sell, loan, no, sell, put one in the first team and one as a sub, yeah?
No, sell, loan out, and
keep.
Yeah, make one sub because I know you're not going to start any of them.
All right, so Dele's sold. Oh, no, because he keeps surviving. And is this based on the fact of, what he's going to do for the club as in revenue and all the rest of it? Or is
however you want to dice it up. It up. Personal feelings could just be how you want to do it.
Sell Lo Celso, loan Dele, put Dombele on the bench. Bruv, that was a loaded dice. It was a loaded dice, man. Loaded dice. I'm not happy with none of them.
Guys, if you're listening, I want to know what you would do because it is a tough question. It is a really tough question. But we spoke about three creative type midfielders there. The argument has been raised. A creative midfielder is more important to us right now than signing a striker. What do you reckon?
No.
For the listeners who can't see the video, Lero is actually twitching his mouth and his eyes. He's thinking.
I was biting my lip. I'm going to go with a striker.
A striker that may not play when we have a fit Kane and a fit Son.
No, you adapt the side to fit in the strike. If the striker's good enough and he's pushing, for me personally, Kane he's not an on-gone starter. If he's fit, if my man's on fire, then my man's on fire. You have to sit on the bench. That's me personally. Obviously, the manager may look at it a little bit different, but you work the system, you get all three of them in there, because when we lose a main focal point, we might as well not have a team, whereas we've been playing without a creative player and still getting some results. So if we up the level with the players that we've got, we should do a bit better. Do you know what I mean?
So I'm going to have to, in Kwabna's absence, I'm going to have to play devil's advocate then.
Yeah.
I guess my argument would be the games in which we have played against the real top sides, when we struggle to retain possession.
Yeah.
It highlights the need, and then Liverpool's an exception because we played counter-attacking football really well there. But Chelsea, for example, we couldn't get a foothold in that game. You could argue Kane didn't hold the ball up well, I didn't see much of it. But I feel like when you got that player, and I've said this before with what Eriksen gave us, who can act as a pressure valve. He can take the ball in any position, any time. He will recycle the ball and then go and get it back, all whilst edging your team as a whole up the field. Not just your strikers, not just counter-attacking, but taking it, moving it, recycling it, taking it, moving it, recycle it. Only releasing the ball when he has to or when a forward pass is on. Thus, giving your team territory, possession, and momentum. I think those players are invaluable. And in addition to that, in games when we're dominating, Southampton, down to 10 men, 1-1 at the time, 2 points basically puts us in the top 4. And we can't break down, and let's be honest, an average Southampton side. Shows me the lack of creative, attack-minded midfielder is killing us.
Yes, I agree. No, I definitely agree. That I've been talking about creative. We've got similar football minds, so you can clearly see that that's missing. But okay, so I'll flip it back on you. So let's put the creative player in there, because we did need him against Southampton. We did need him against. We need him against many a team that we play. But let's put the creative midfielder in there, and then take out Kane or a main focal point. Are we not in a similar position? We're retaining the ball, but we've got no one to kind of finish it off. We've got no focal point, because it's all good that he can recycle the ball and all the rest of it. That's great. But when we need the ball to be held up for that creative player to get back on the other end of that ball and then create something for us to finish, there's no one to finish.
I hear you in terms of holding the ball up. I definitely hear that, because that will be a man he's going to bounce off and find a different angle and give it back to in a different position and slot him in. I do hear that. But I want my creative midfielder to give me 18 goals like Bruno. So he might pop up with a goal.
Yeah.
He just may not be able to get up the field to get you that goal.
Okay, so this is my for instance, or look at a quality player, yeah? Now, you see Mora's goal against Morecambe, yeah?
Yes.
Mora doesn't score that if Kane didn't do everything that Kane did to in the build up to that goal. Everything. Do you remember the goal?
Yeah, he sprinted. Kane actually ran faster than centre half.
But what was he doing when he was running? He was looking over his shoulder. Where was he running?
Yeah.
If you think about...
to take it away.
No, not in the beginning, he wasn't. He was actually running closer to Son, yeah, because what was
To Lucas.
sorry, because what
Yeah,
was
yeah.
happening is that defender wanted to come across and cut Mora,
Lucas off.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Kane running a line where you kind of couldn't get round me, yeah, and then when Lucas got to the main point where he could either go wide and round the goalkeeper, or slot came through. That's when Kane his angle changed and he started running towards the box. So if you rewatch that, he held that defender off by sprinting. He's watching over his shoulder, making sure that the defender was on the wrong side of him.
Across.
Yeah. And I just thought that, like, that's the difference between someone that knows what they're doing and goes in the side. Because if he didn't do that, that defender only had one option. And that would be, you're not going to stay with Kane. You're going to close down the man with the ball. You're going to try and protect
Go to the
goalkeeper.
danger.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the danger.
So, I just thought it was brilliant. And you know me, I'm not a Kane lover. Like, I like what he does for the squad. I love the goals he brings. But I'm not like diehard Kane. Don't think about anything else, Kane. No, I'm honest with him. And I just thought that run was brilliant. Absolutely. And a lot of people wouldn't even have looked at it and seen what he done.
Yeah, so, I make you right. So Kane has a passion for NFL. And that was almost like I think it's a linebacker. Don't get at me if it's wrong. A linebacker protecting his quarterback.
Basically, yeah.
Just stopping the guy getting to his quarterback, allowing him to run. That's what they do, legal blocks and stuff. No yellow flags flying out. And, he got the touchdown.
Yeah, basically he did.
So that's very good observation there. I must admit I didn't see that myself in the first one. I'm going to watch that again. So you want Kane, you want a striker to push Kane and to give us different options, and I do get that. And ideally, in the ideal world, we should have both, right?
Yeah.
We shouldn't be talking about one or the other.
Yeah.
But there's definitely arguments for both. I'm going to let Kwabna and Carl weigh in on this debate when they resurface. But I think we've gone through a lot tonight. I think we've got Chelsea coming up in a couple of days' time. How do you see that game going? And where do you think we head after that, regardless of result?
Do you know what? I'm just hoping for a magic night of football, a cup night of football. We have no right to beat them, play that well, have that much desire and drive and fight. But that's what I'm hoping for. Not so much that it boils over and we get people sent off or we make mistakes, but, just a good, honest performance, and hopefully we get a result. All I can ask for is penalties. Do you know what I mean? At bare minimum, penalties. We get 2 goals at home and stop them from scoring and get penalties, and then see what happens from there. Beat them like we did the last time.
I don't want penalties. I want 3 goals, and I'll tell you for why.
Go on.
We got those other scummy boys coming to the lane on Sunday, and I don't want to be tired. Or Saturday, I don't want to be tired.
No, and I agree with that as well. I just don't see where the 3 goals are coming from. I can see 2.
But you said a magic night of football, so we can only dream.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I hear you. Let's get through the admin before we get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
We've got some new cities, I think, to shout this week. But before we shout new cities, I'm going to shout man like Conrad Duncan, who got at us on the Twitter. See, this is what happens. If you get us out on the Twitter, you might get a quick shout out. He said he was the White Horse guy and the Yukon guy. No, is that right? No, he was the Colorado guy and White Horse in Yukon, Canada. That was him. He was traveling, listening to the pod, so we respect that. We shout out 2 cities that you touched down in. So shout to you, Conrad Duncan.
Massive Conrad.
Yeah. And we got who we got. I think we got. I'm not going to do the Kwabna thing because obviously he's a 15%. It's gone up again, Kwabna. 15% traveller of the world. So we got Baldwin North in Australia. Shout to you guys. Been listening hard. Loved that. Who else we got? I think that was the only city this week. To be fair, it was that city in Conrad I wanted to shout this week. So new cities, only one. Keep coming. We are the Shelfside Podcast. You can find us on @ShelfPod on Twitter, and you can find us on all the podcast platforms and YouTube. Lero, YouTube.
Finally. Like, will this be on YouTube tonight?
Not tonight. I got to do a bit of work, but
Okay.
we'll put it on YouTube hopefully tomorrow.
And has everyone submitted their pictures with their Spurs image wear
Jerseys
on? I'm going to wear a hoodie
to take it from Twitter. That's what I've had to do.
Have I got Spurs on Twitter?
No, just your Twitter image I've taken. That's what I've done with the others.
Right,
So
I'm going to send you.
yours.
Listen, this is how conscious I was. I thought we're going to need some money for January sales. I went and bought a Spurs tracksuit top. I haven't spent money on Spurs, or on image wear for myself in years. My kids have bought me stuff. I bought my kids stuff, but I went and spent 60 odd quid, so that could add to the kitty. So if you have to buy someone for 30 million and £60, no, that £60 was me.
Well, the idea is that your £60 plus all the other hundreds of thousands or millions of fans that we've got spend £60. That will buy us a player. That's the idea. Your £60 can only go so far.
Well, I ain't taking the tags off, because if they don't buy anyone in January, I'm sending it back. Get my money back.
I hope you got 30 days on that, and I hope you didn't buy it from Sports Direct, because you won't get it back.
Where did I get it from? Well, I could spend it on something else. I think it was Sports Direct, you know.
They don't do refunds. You have to go in there with your hammer and your other tools to get a refund.
Well, I just get something else.
So, guys, YouTube, all the podcast platforms, leave us a 5-star review, please, because we only give you 5-star content. Remember to keep smiling, because the sun always shines on the Shelfside podcast, and we are still unbeaten in the league under Conte. So expect top 4. Lero, do what it is that you do. Please run the outro.
With the Shelfside, with the Shelfside, with the Shelfside talking.